Okay. Welcome, council, staff, and those in the chairs. We are delighted to have you to this Wednesday, November 23rd meeting. The meeting the chair will declare the meeting open at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Today's meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting electronically by contacting the clerk to receive a registration link. Members of the public may also attend our meeting at 154 McKellar Street in Glencoe. This meeting will be recorded, council, and published on the Southwest Middlesex YouTube channel. Before we begin this gathering, we will acknowledge the land upon which we meet is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have a long-standing relationship with the land, water, and regions of Southwest Middlesex. We convey our respect to our Indigenous neighbors, thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, our past, and partnerships in the future. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we will move on to number 3, additions to the agenda. I have one. The hiring committee must be established for procuring a new CAO, and we will bring that to council's attention under section 11 of the agenda under unfinished business. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I had just one brief question on a property matter I'd like to add to the in-camera session.
Yep, we can do that. You can't do that?
Sorry, Your Worship. We would have had to declare that on the agenda to be an item that we are going in closed for. So we are going in closed for another matter, but it's not listed on the agenda. We'd have to disclose that before that happens.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that clarification, Mike. Mike Henry, I better address you by your last name. Got Mike's on both sides of me. Yep. Okay. And also, I just want to apprise council that there will be some discussion on this Bill 23 and how it regards the Conservation Authority, and it is substantive. I attended a brief seminar yesterday on it to bring me up to speed on Bill 23, and the most recent agenda that is before you will have that on that, and there should be some healthy discussion on that. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as circulated with the addition of the hiring committee, discussion under new business, and the inclusion of the discussion on Bill 23. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor McCollum, seconder, please. Councillor McGill, questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Delegations and presentations, Mike Henry, I don't believe there's any. Consent agenda. Any item the council wishes to take action on, please advise the chair, and it will be moved to the new business section. I believe that might be number 12 without looking. And I'll go down these as written. Also, I'd like to mention that I appreciate council. I know a few councilors have phoned in to clarify voucher questions, and I appreciate that very much. Southwest Middlesex Council minutes as circulated, 5A. 5B, Southwest Middlesex vouchers. 5C, County Council highlights dated October 25th, 2022. Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority 2023 preliminary budget. Kristen, you're okay with that? You don't need it pulled? Okay. Board of Health meeting summary, October 22nd, October 2022. Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program letter, 5F. Middlesex Federation of Agriculture, AGM. And 5H, Township of Warwick Resolution CN Railway under the Drainage Act. Yeah, Mark, would you like that pulled? Okay. I think we can do that right now. I agree. With that, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Vink. Yes, Southwest Middlesex has led the way in the concern they have that the railway companies believe they're not part of the Drainage Act and don't have to abide by it. And you can imagine people with farms that are draining towards the railway track, and all the water ends up going in the Sydenham River or the Thames River from here. So it's a real concern. People can tile their fields and not have good drainage because of CN's opinion on this. So we'll pull that out. Yes.
Mayor Allen, isn't this a duplication of what we've already done?
Township of Warwick have a resolution, and they're just merely asking for our endorsement of it is what they're asking. Okay, so out of courtesy to a neighboring municipality, and because we spearheaded the conversation, I think we should be, and I think council should consider very sincerely of endorsing it. Any questions? All in favor of endorsing the Warwick resolution? Opposed? Okay, carried. Your Wardsville, thank you letter. Appreciate that. That's nice to hear that they're moving along with some pretty good things in Wardsville, and I'm glad we can be of help. Council, that was the consent agenda. I'll have a motion that, oh, did I miss one? Oh, yes, the LTVA Bill 23 conservation letter, and I think someone should perhaps consider pulling that. Okay, thank you, Councillor Choi, seconder. Councillor Vink, and questions? That'll be an interesting discussion for all of us.
Mayor Allen?
Yep.
So to clarify your motion for that, Amy, you want to support the letter from the province, from Conservation Ontario regarding Bill 23's concerns, and whom would you like to circulate to? Did you want to circulate to anyone? Totally.
Yeah, I have an opinion on that, but you asked Amy, but yeah.
She moved it, that's why I asked her.
Yeah.
Am I able to have opinion?
Yep, you sure can.
Yeah.
Who would you like that?
I would
Just-
appreciate your input on that.
Well, I think we certainly have to send it to Doug Ford, but I think Monty McNaught also has to get a copy of this. All right. And I would also, yeah, I think that will do it. Yeah, I think those two are enough at this point. Yeah, but I think Monty should be kept in the loop on that. Amy, if that's okay with you.
It is. Thank you.
Okay, and do you want to endorse that now, Councillor Choi? We can get that out of the way, put it to bed, okay? Good, so would you move that, please?
I'll move that.
Thank you. A seconder for that? Yeah, Councillor Myers, discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we can have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented with the exception of the two items that have been dealt with. Mover and a seconder? Thank you, Don. And a seconder? Jody, thank you very much. Questions? All in favor? Carried. We're just whipping along here. Committee of Adjustment, Mike Henry, I don't believe there is any. Public meetings, too, Mike Henry, I don't believe there is any. We are at 8. Staff reports. Fire, there is none. Administration, we have 8B1, which I'm looking forward to, is regarding animal control. And Mike, if you could walk us into it, and if you would be kind enough to introduce Erica to us as well. Okay.
Erica and I have never actually met, your worship, but hi Erica, how are you? So I saw her on the way in and I just did the practice of deducement there to think that was her. Okay, so before you, council, is the report that has actually come back. It came to you initially with a 5-year term for those of you that weren't with us on council at that time. It came as a 5-year, it was deferred, asked staff to come back with a 1-year, and that is what we've done. And we're sitting here with a 1-year contract based on the pro rata amount. Erica's nodding, so that's good. From 5 years down to 1. So
Good.
if you have any questions, Erica's here to help.
Well, Erica, thank you very much for your presence here this evening. I know where you probably drove from London, did you? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Well, no, we're delighted to hear from you. Are there any questions the council would like to pose through the chair to Erica? And we're voting on a 1-year term of agreement. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as presented. Councillor Myers, seconder. Councillor Vink, thank you. Discussion, last call for discussion. All in favor of a 1-year term? Carried. Well, that was easy, Erica. Hey, thank you very much. But that shows you the confidence we have in you for 365 days. So that's great. I know you came to us in kind of a pinch through a resignation of half a century of animal control, and they're hard shoes to fill. And so this is a good stepping stone for us to get to something in the future. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming. Okay. We have 8B3 mural request, and there's a clarification that I'd like to make on this. I emailed my email that went out to staff. There was a word that they escaped them. And I think we need some clarification and a correction on this. I apologize to council. Sometimes instead of emailing staff, I should talk to them about the email sent. Jim Miller, as you know, lives in the old Harvey Motel area. And he knew the mural was coming down on the parquet on the east side of Main Street. And the clarification that I would like to make, Jim lives right on the Longwoods Road, of course, and he has a large shop there with very high exposure. And he's part of the Barn Quilt Trail that goes right down Longwoods. And Jim's request was to host the mural west of the Arboretum. And the recommendation, and he would restore it and put it up on that barn so all could see. It would be right on Longwoods Road. And the recommendations come through that it would be in the Arboretum. And that was part of the vocabulary in the letter, but it missed the word host. Jim will host the mural. So I want that clarified. So the recommendation will have to be changed. That council authorized the restoration of the former parquet mural for Jim Miller to display and host on Longwoods Road. So there is a typo there, and I want council to be aware of that. Yes, go ahead, Martin.
Mayor Allen, so just for clarification, so Jim's got an implement set there.
He
So
does.
it will be on the implement set wall by the highway.
That's correct. It would be on the north wall of the implement shed. Just as it's not right across the road from Oakland Cemetery, but you know it's in that vicinity. And that shed is not a long ways back from the highway. It's fairly close, so it has reasonably good exposure. Any other questions on that? I talked to Kristen about that too, just so to enlighten. My position is also to give council information on the subjects you're talking about to help in that way. That mural is a two-piece mural, and it would be very difficult to stake. It's rather fragile. There are some exceptionally bad tears in it, and to stake that, it would have to be on a flush wall. Okay, like you'd almost have to have a built plywood backdrop and then put it on there in order to adhere. Because of the joint in those two panels, like it would be really susceptible to further damage. And it would have to be on a flat wall, such as a drive shed or, a solid frame structure. So with that clarification, I'll leave it in council's hands. Is anyone interested in making that recommendation? Councillor Vink. Okay. Thank you. And Jim will see that that's put up, and he certainly will be seeking the help of High Cut Graphics, who are in the sign business and know how to fix something like that. And any assistance in delivery, I hope the municipality may have to deliver it to the site, but other than that, it'll be there. Okay, there's a mover. Is there a seconder for that? Okay, Jody, thanks. Councillor Hagan, I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Yeah, Councillor Deputy Mayor, go ahead, please.
A brief update on the murals that are going to be replacing this one.
We can. How about we get this motion out of the way, and then I'll let Councillor Choi give that update, okay? Because it is a different subject. Okay, questions? Good. I hope this is repairable. If not, we'll come back. All in favor? Carried. Amy, would you be kind enough to give us an update on the mural the two murals that we have, and the artist that we've chosen to do those? Would you be kind enough to fill us in?
Sure. Yeah. I believe Sheila's been pretty much the lead on it, so she would be the better one to ask about it. But as far as I know, they're coming up with a date to install, and I think the location of exactly where they're going to be is not yet determined. Okay. But it's coming up.
Okay, thank you. Yep, and follow up. Yeah.
I just wanted to ensure that we still have funding for it in place, because I know the Middlesex funding was to be completed by November 15th.
Yeah, I think that would be better suited for Sheila. I don't handle any of the grant.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think sometimes extensions are given with things like that. It takes so long to get anything done today, it seems, to get the materials and things like that, that very often grant structures are somewhat leaning on that. Yes, Councillor McGill, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. The county said the very next morning after we voted on getting those murals that we would get the money.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's fairly affirmative, and I have talked to the Economic Development Officer, Kara Finn, on a regular basis, so I've heard no mention of any issue or problem or lack of financing. And I think we were very well served with that, because there has been one grant already received, and the material has been manufactured, and it's awaiting installation as well. Okay. Yep, sure can. Yeah, the co-CIO has asked for a brief pause. Okay. Problem solved? Good. Okay, that's good. Mike, I appreciate your help straightening them out there. That's really good. Yeah. Anyway, that's no, that's good. It's nice to have a little humor around the table at times. But Mike, don't take that seriously. We are impressed by your work, and I am delighted that you're my left-hand man. Okay, you're my left-hand man. Okay, so where are we on this agenda? Yeah, we've got the mural request. It has been passed. Okay. Let's see, 384. Tails and Trails initiative are an interesting concept as well. It has no financial impact on the municipality, and the report is before you. Just get caught up here. Council, we certainly are open for discussion or a motion endorsing that it be received for information. And there were some visuals there as well.
Receive information.
Yep, I am. Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Counselor Choi? Last call for discussion. All in favor? Carried. Okay, building report, none at present. Certainly look forward to one coming up in the future. I think there's been a lot going on. Finance, Kristen, 8D is a proposed budget meeting dates. If you would like to just speak to that, if nothing more than reiterate those dates that are important to us. And
Sure. I'd like to ideally start at the beginning of January with kind of an overview, and then we can dive into the capital budget at the end of January. And we may or may not need all of the meetings that are listed there, but I figured we would at least earmark them for budget review, and then hopefully by at the latest, the end of March, we can adopt the bylaw. And
that sounds good. That to me sounds like a schedule that is not onerous, and it will give us time to discuss it. And I think that first meeting, Kristen, that you mentioned for an overview is extremely important. We will have, as a council, we have the ability to change that, to modify it, to ask questions, and I look forward to that discussion. It, it's gives the direction for the entire year, and it's extremely important. All right, well, we will have, there's a recommendation that council approve the dates, and if we don't need them, as Kristen said, we can abandon some of those in a future meeting. Councillor Vink?
No.
Yep.
Can I have
Question?
a
Sure.
question?
You certainly can.
It's not set in stone the time. Because I'm thinking an hour in between the two meetings is not very much. So it's almost like, for me anyway, it's almost like a 4-hour meeting. So I didn't know whether we could consider 3 to 5 or in 3. I wasn't sure how
Yeah.
that was gonna work.
Kristen, I'll let you address that. It's
I'm fine with that if that's what council wishes.
everyone available? Yes, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Personally, I just prefer to just go 4 to 6 and then 7 to whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think the way we did it other years was there'd be a few sandwiches or something here, so we didn't have to, go home and then come back.
Yep. I know it helps with your chores as well, Mike, or Councillor McGill. We will, well, the recommendations in front of us. I think we should probably vote on this recommendation, and if it's defeated, we can certainly go back and change that time. But 4 o'clock accommodates me better too, because sometimes I have morning meetings at the county, and it allows me, I don't get home till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, so 4 o'clock is accommodates me. Any further questions? Okay. Our finance has made the recommendation to adopt the dates as listed. Is there a motion for that? Okay. Seconder? Councillor Choi. Last call for discussion. All in favor? Please raise your hand. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? Okay, carried. Yeah, I need those hands up, guys and girls. Okay, we want to make sure everyone's vote counts. Okay, Andrew Neely is on the screen. Welcome, Andrew, virtually to our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We have some drainage updates, and we will begin with 8E. If you would like to lead us through your report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't go through each Excel file because it's somewhat boring, I guess you might say. It's not meant to be riveting, but in any respects, I do want to somewhat go over an overview. The bit of a background is that as of November 2nd, when I wrote this, there were 13 drains under maintenance. Now, I do want to say that that is a rolling number. Some drains are waiting for contractors to get there, and other drains have already been done since then. So there's been drains added to that and taken off of active projects. With regards to Section 78 and Section 4 of the Drainage Act, about 28, that hasn't changed since I wrote that. So so just a quick blurb on that. When dealing with Section 78, these are the drains when an engineer is involved. These are when older drains need to be reconstructed. Typically, it is done under a new engineer's report because when they were originally constructed, since then, provincial standards of drainage have changed significantly. And of course, Section 4 are drains that are brand new municipal drains in many respects. So with regards to the analysis, from the summer of 2021 until the spring, this past spring, Southwestern Ontario has received a lot of rain. I don't know for sure, but I would be safe to say that it was record breaking. However, during the summer, the rain has tapered off. So a lot of the investigation projects that I have been involved with have tapered off as well. And basically what can happen is that there's significant standing water that looks like the drain is plugged, and it doesn't appear to be once we've done that investigation. Since the last council update, there have been a handful of new requests have been submitted for construction and maintenance. However, many of these projects have been in correspondence with staff since the time of the last update. So, and then of course, because this is information, there are no financial impacts for this recommendation. It is just for information.
Thank you very much. We will deal with these one at a time as each drain is different. Each recommendation is different, and we'll certainly deal with them accordingly. Any questions to Andrew on his report? I'll entertain a motion that it be received for information. Okay, thank you. Councilor McCollum, seconder. Councilor McGill, questions? All in favor? Carried. Andrew, carry on with the code drain, if you would, please.
Thank you, sir. This is a continuation of an ongoing project. The background: in late last year, a number of owners in the watershed of the code drain submitted a request to reconstruct the existing drain. We had an on-site meeting, and it was discovered that the owner of Range 3 South, Lot 22, the Kallenbergs, relied on a private drain that runs under Heineman through 4000 Heineman, the 911 address 4000, to then outlet into the code drain. Council has seen this before when there is a private drain that is being relied on. It is recommended in many cases that it be reconstructed as a new municipal drain. In that way, that everyone involved is fairly treated, and it is engineered to the modern drainage standards. During the June 8th council meeting, council directed staff to notify property owners in the watershed of the proposed, I must have done something wrong there, but in any respects, the recommendation that we do have in front of us is that council appoint Sprate Associates under Section 4 of the Drainage Act to produce a report to incorporate an existing private drain into the municipal drain, and that to be added to the existing report that Sprate is already appointed to under Section 78. So just a quick, I guess, pointer. The map that I have provided is the accurate one. The property that has put in the petition is 4,000 Heineman and the farm property across the road. For that red line, that is the existing private drain to be reconstructed as a municipal drain, and that it would be a part of the code drain.
Thank you, Andrew. And for the benefit of council, Andrew, that report will come before council when Sprate have that done. Is that correct? Will that come?
Yes, that is correct. It would come to council as a normal consideration meeting. It would go to councilors, and the only difference would be it would state in the report that the report is being done under the authorization of Section 78 and 4 of the Drainage Act.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council, that you'd wish to address to Andrew through the chair? Yes, so Don, go ahead. Councilor McCollum.
Yes, Andrew. Isn't there an abandoned cemetery there across that where the red line is going? So you'll have to stay away? Or how is that gonna work?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor McCollum, yes, there is a cemetery in the back of 3874. I wouldn't say that it's abandoned right now. To my knowledge, it is still a cemetery. It still belongs to the municipality. This project would not impact the cemetery.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor McCollum, for bringing that to our attention. Okay. Any further questions? Then I ask if a councilor would move the recommendation, and then I'll then ask for a seconder. Councilor McCollum, seconder. Councilor McGill. Last call for questions to the chair, to Andrew. One more. Seeing none, all in favor? Recommendation is accepted. And Andrew, we have the McCollum and Wolf drain. Please walk council through this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The background on this, Mr. Wolf submitted a Section 4 petition on May 27th of this year to reconstruct an existing private drain and for this to be incorporated as a municipal drain. Sprete's office was appointed on July 27th, council meeting. And on October 7th, staff had an on-site meeting with the landowners of the watershed, or the presumed watershed, and the engineer was present. Staff recognized that the Wolf Branch drain may trigger the need for further reconstruction. So that would mean further downstream in order to provide adequate drainage to current standards. At least for a portion of it. As a result, all the owners of the McCollum drain were invited to the on-site meeting. It was indicated at this meeting that the House intended on installing more private drainage, so they wanted to tile their field. And the current drain would not provide the level of outlet that they would like to see. As a result, the House submitted a written request for reconstruction. The branches of the McCollum drain are outlined in the green dotted line on the attached map. Mr. Wolf then submitted a request to reconstruct the branch of the drain that runs along Heineman Drive and the portion of the drain for adequate outlet. It is possible on the north side of the road to be abandoned and become a private drain of the owner of the property. This would allow for one road crossing rather than two. So if you can see in the report, the map outlines that on the, I guess, the east side of Heineman. This would be the new drain. It would be a branch to the drain. And on the north or the west side of Heineman would be all reconstructed in order to accommodate for the house request. And then you can see where the blue would be abandoned, and there would only be need for one road crossing. It is at this point that I do recommend that council appoint Spreet Engineering under Section 78 of the Drainage Act to produce a report to reconstruct a part of the McCollum drain based on the request received from the owners of the parcels of land located in Range 2 South, Lot 10 and Lot 9, and the owner of Range 3 South, Lot 11. And that this would also be added to the ongoing project that council has seen under Section 4 of the Drainage Act.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Any questions to Andrew through the chair? Yes, Councilor McCollum, go ahead.
To Andrew. Now, what happens with lot 10 to the north of the new Wolf Drain? It does it not run down towards Wolf Drain?
Well,
Is it-
so yes, yeah, the blue there, that is there, that is the existing drain, and it crosses the road, and it eventually outlets into the open portion of the drain off of the map. But what is being potentially proposed is it is just preliminary at this point. It hasn't been designed by any means. We're very early on. That what would end up happening is that the red would be, I guess, going from Heineman along the road and then service Mr. Wolf's property, and then it would outlet closer to the road, and then the blue under the road and going north would all be a reconstruction. If that does that answer your question?
No,
Counselor?
I'm looking at lot 10 to the east, I guess, of the Wolf property, directly above.
Oh, I see. I think I see what you mean. The drain would go up to the property line.
Yes,
Yes. So then if it is my understanding that the owners of that property have already tiled their property and that there would be no need to extend the drain any further. That the existing drainage goes into, the existing laterals go into the private drain that's there already. So then what would happen is the new branch would then replace that private drain, and the laterals that are tied into the private drain would be shifted into the new branch, the Wolf branch.
so then that,
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor McCollum, follow up.
so then that doesn't privatize that Wolf Drain. Because the water from the east will flow into the new Wolf Drain.
It would, that branch would be a municipal drain, because right now it's a private drain. It is it's a handshake agreement drain. Does that answer your question?
I looked at the property today, and it looks like the back part of it, of the property, looks like it's gonna happen down through the Wolf property. No, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, from what I can understand, most of that property has already been tiled.
Yes. And so where it has to come out to the Wolf property then?
Yes, most of that does go through there. Now there's at least one other branch of the drain that I did inquire with the owner of that property that crosses the road further, I guess, northeast on Heineman, if they wanted any works, and they did not indicate that. They said that they were happy with what was there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And of course, the request for section 78 is they're right under the Drainage Act, and we will see the engineer's report in the future. Mover and seconder for that, please. Councilor McCollum, Councilor McGill has seconded the motion. Any further questions to Andrew? All in favor? Motion's carried. And this one, Andrew, the McMurtry drain, and you may not be the only one giving this report. I think Mike Henry will be involved in this. I think we'll probably hear from Kristen. So it's kind of an unusual circumstance, and I think all will have a chance. I'm going to rely on all three of you to walk council through this. Mike, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Andrew, just so you're in the loop here on this one, this report came to council in my absence last week, as I'm sure you're aware. However, there are a lot of similarities with the report that came forth the last time, albeit there's a slight change. In order to just satisfy the Municipal Act, I would like to ask council to give 2/3 a vote to proceed with revisiting this once again. If you would indulge me, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so that means in order for this to pass, it will have to have 2/3 majority. Okay. Go ahead. Anything else?
2/3. So we need the 2/3 majority just to reopen discussion. We don't need 2/3 for resolution. That's what Martin's about to ask.
This is, yeah, we do. To bring that back for discussion to the table. To move. Okay. Deputy Mayor Schuldice has moved that. Councillor Vink has seconded that. Discussion. All in favor? Okay. And Andrew, you're good to go, but I am not going to let Mike Henry off the hook, or Kristen McGill either. We're going to get some input from them on this too. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we are dealing with in front of us here is two parts, and most of this we have already discussed already. However, I will go through the principal aspects of this. The background, the Glen Meadows development that's behind the no frills that is being constructed right now is outletting into the Murchie Drain. This a portion of this drain was constructed in 1952. It was assumed to be in reasonable condition until the developer had done some investigation as per the agreement, and it was revealed that the drain had shifted and cracked. It is in fairly poor condition. And so the analysis, both the developers and the Southwest Middlesex staff agree that it would be best for the drainage to be corrected before the street is built. So that is specifically Elizabeth Street, so on the east side of Gerber Electric, just to so that everyone understands where I'm talking about. So we have two options: re-engineer the drain to repair any deficiencies, apportioning the cost to landowners according to the engineer's report. This option would require us to go through section 78, so the engineer would have to be appointed. And as we know, this can take up to a year to complete, or abandon a portion of the drain and reconstruct the drain as a storm drain. This would be potentially more costly. However, it would get it done very quickly. So in order to continue to provide drainage for one property owner upstream and Dundonald Road, the drain upstream from the development would be maintained as a municipal drain. So just so that we all understand the situation here, the section that is in the farmland and the catch basin that is on Dundonald Road in green, highlighted and green dotted line, would remain a municipal drain. So then that would allow for continued service, and any maintenance that would have to be done to that, we would use the existing engineer's report from, I think, 1981 for the assessment and designs. And then for this recommendation, the area in the dotted line would be, or sorry, the red dotted line through the development would be abandoned. And then the section that is on the east side of Gerber's, the northeast corner of their property to Appen Road is a section that is in poor shape that has not yet been replaced. And that this is that section that is being discussed. That is the quote that we have in front of us. And this section of Elizabeth Street has been a part of the agreement to be constructed by the developer. And this was the cost to the developer from what I understand. And what they have proposed is that the municipality cover the cost of the drain as that they are building the street, and the drain condition, the drain reconstruction was not a part of the agreement. So it is, we have two options here that council directs staff to send out notices to property owners in the watershed of the McMurtry drain that it intends to abandon a part of the drain in accordance with section 84(2) of the Drainage Act, and that staff prepare a bylaw to formally abandon a portion of the drain following the mandatory 10-day prescribed waiting period. Now, the next part, I think if Kristen would like to cover that, she's has been heavily involved in that portion of it with regards to the cost and the developer.
Thank you, Andrew, for that report and for introducing Kristen. Carry on. Go ahead. Yes, question there, Martin.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I just wondered if we could ask Andrew a question on his report.
I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah, and I have one as well. Councilor Vink, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Allen. Andrew, as you well know, many of us went to a conference today, and my question is, the storm sewers in Glencoe, they obviously empty out towards, I guess, towards the south. Does it ever go into a municipal drain? Or how does the storm sewers work in Glencoe? They go towards the lagoon, and is any of that connection part of a municipal drain?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the Elizabeth Street drain is, it was constructed under the Drainage Act, and then it outlets into a open ditch that runs along in part the CN rails and also the abandoned Wabash rail line. And then it outlets into another municipal drain. The name escapes me at this point, but it is an open ditch that runs along beside the lagoons. You are correct in that. And then it empties into a natural water course that then eventually makes its way into the Thames. So it is, I guess, somewhat a hodgepodge of a type of a situation.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Vink. Andrew, would there be an assessment on the municipality if we went under Section 8? Would it be substantive, or would there be, it's a long process, but we would not get off the hook not putting into it? There would be some municipal money put in, would there? Would it be significant?
Yes, it would be significant because it would be a storm drain. It would act as the outlet for the street. A large portion of it would be assessed to the road, which is the municipality. The amount, the percentage, I would not say at this point. That would be much better under an engineer's report. An engineer would introduce that.
Thank you. I think substantive would be adequate at this point.
Yeah.
And you were saying it would take approximately a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'm just wondering if Andrew could tell us, is he certain that our existing infrastructure in town can handle this increased load?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, the existing or the development that is going on right now does have a stormwater system that will throttle the amount of water that finds its way into the drain to ensure that it is to the pre-existing development flows. So then that would mean the storm ponds that are in this development would make sure that they would collect water and would only allow it to go into the municipal drain at the rate that it did before.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep, that's important. Any further questions? Council, we have the recommendations before us with a couple of options. Kristen, Mike, could you add anything to this or your opinions on this further?
I can, sir. We have a revised tender from ASG today saying that they could go as low as 80,000 to get the work done. Our purchasing policy currently says that anything that exceeds 50,000 requires a request for tender, but council can choose to override that to expedite the process.
Thank you. Any questions to Kristen? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Bink.
Where would this increased money come from, Kristen?
Thank you. We do have a reserve fund set up for storm sewers, so it can come from that.
Okay, so it doesn't affect the levy at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, everyone's throwing their hat in the ring. Is there any concerns you have? You okay? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Council, I need some discussion on this important matter. What's your wish? Yes, Councillor Scholdice.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'm just wondering if Andrew could tell us how many days this job would take, roughly.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would suspect that given that it's 100 meters, that it would, most of the equipment is there. It could be 3 or 4 days. I understand a lot of it has been exposed already. Now, it would be difficult to distinguish, I guess, the reconstruction and then the beginning of the street construction. So, but this portion, I would think 3 or 4 would catch it.
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, Councillor Vink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Will the size of the pipe have to be increased from what was there before?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I understand that it would stay the same size. It would not need to be increased as the stormwater plan for the subdivision would throttle that water. So if they were to increase the size, it would not provide any more level of service that's already there.
Okay. Any further questions? Andrew, Kristen, how soon would the developer get on this should council deem it appropriate to accept his offer? Is this a fairly imminent project in the conversation that you've had with him, Kristen?
We do need to wait for the 10-day appeal period
Okay.
after the drain abandonment, but they can start just after that.
Okay, so within 11 days, 12 days? Okay, weather permitting. Okay, council, you have the facts in front of you. If there's any further questions you'd like to ask to the two parties that have given us, yes, go ahead, Councillor McGill.
Yeah, through the mayor to Andrew Neely. How fast would you think the drainage would be in that portion of in that field that's upstream from the new development? Because it's a quite a wet area there. Not very fast drainage. What would the drainage coefficient be on the storm sewer through the new development?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't have the answer to that right now. It is not decreased by any means, from what I can understand. Through the development, it was replaced and it was moved, but it was not decreased.
Okay. Yeah, any follow-ups, Mark? You're okay? All right. Council, any further questions? Then a decision must be made. Would anyone entertain a motion on this? Yes, Councillor Vink.
I move the motion that we spend the 82,000 some dollars to go ahead with the project. This development is very important to Southwest Middlesex, and the developer's probably got millions of dollars into it. And so I think it's very important that we help out the developer in this case.
And Councillor Vink, it's now 80, is that correct? Okay, it's 80, okay, as opposed to 82,000, okay? Nope, that's okay, but you can live with that. Cheaper, I think you can, and so can I. Yeah. Okay, is there a seconder for that motion? Okay, Councillor Myers. Last call for discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Andrew, I think that takes you through your recommendations to council. Thank you again. Thank you, Kristen. Notice a motion from Councillor Haggett. Councillor Haggett, would you like to speak to this? You're good to go.
Now everybody can see my motion. So basically, I'd like to ask staff if they could do a report on who's working from home and how many days a month that is. And I know that that'll have to be held in a in-camera session, I believe.
You're certainly correct about that when we identify individuals. And I think, Mike, you no doubt have some to say about this and the consequences of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I do, and I just want to give a little bit of a coaching session. I know you're just getting off the heels of orientation, and it's always nice to invest in people, and staff and council working together is very, very important. So I heard today and through at the office, I know Deputy Mayor was in earlier and had some questions. Staff encourages that. We encourage you to come in, ask some questions. By the time we get here, we've either got proper answers or the flow just keeps going. And it's very appreciated. I'm going to speak to probably a section of each one of these notice of motions that come in. So we have to be careful when we do a notice of motion. What I would recommend is sit down with Kendra or sit down with myself or Kristen and just go over what's being written in them, because we want to make sure that they're one, factual, and two, just on side with what we're talking about. The end of the day, that is correct. It will have to come back in a closed session matter. But some of the comments leading up to it, we have to be careful of, where there are a number of Southwest Middlesex staff members working from home. I've been here since September helping out. I wasn't aware till today that there was one working from home. So we have to just be careful of the wording, because we're making a statement to the public. The public hears that and they think that's fact. So we encourage to sit down with staff, have that discussion. We will more than help work through the notice of motions with you, but we want to make sure that they're accurate and factual so we can get you the proper stuff you're looking for. So staff will be more than happy to bring back this report at the next meeting, and they will do it in closed session. We'll bring that forth and we'll have that discussion at that time.
Okay. All right. That's good. Yes, just to back up my Kinder's statement there, at the county level, when a notice of motion comes forth by a councillor, we are encouraged to sit down with the CAO and the deputy CAO to formulate that for a couple of reasons. They're there to help us, not judge us. Okay, we have the right to put a notice of motion forth. What they help us with is not only the language, but they look at the liability issues in respect to that, and the Municipal Act and employment standards as well. And they are extremely helpful. The assistance of administration on notice of motion is expected at a county level. And it would be to each counselor's advantage if they have a notice of motion, which we'll all have at some point, to speak to staff about that. Is there any amendments? If the language concerns you in any way, is there any friendly amendments that may be required here?
Not in this regard. The final, therefore, it be resolved that council provide an update in order to discuss the status of staff members still working from home. It's a little unordinary because usually the CAO and the directors of respective departments handles the staff that are working in that regard. But in this case, it's a request coming from council, and we're happy to oblige. So that sentence right there would allow that to happen, come back in a closed session. But again, just noting it's a little out of the ordinary for department heads to report directly on what staff are doing, as long as they're doing their job. That's generally the factor. But anyway.
Councillor Choi, please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, through you to Kristen or Mike. I believe we had requested for staff retention report. And I think this may kind of go hand in hand. Do we know when we'll be seeing a report of that nature?
I can look into that. When we can,
Yeah, it's through your worship. I'm not aware of a request in this regard. So was this a previous one? Okay. All right. So we'll dig out a resolution. We'll find out what that is. Would Councillor Haggard, would you like to add that to your request in the resolution on this?
Friendly amendment that the two reports come together, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So therefore it be resolved, the council will provide an update in the order to discuss the status of staff members still working from home to be accompanied by a staff retention report as previously requested.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Okay. Thank you, Councillor Choi. Any discussion? As chair, I will support this motion, and I think it would be very useful information for council to have. I do, in my opinion, as mayor of the municipality, I really don't like to get involved in the operations of business on the other side of the glass. Okay, they're being very well paid to do that. And that's not, when you look at our responsibility as an elected council, it has various categories stipulated as to what our position is and what our responsibilities are. But the day-to-day operations of an office, there has to be some element of trust. And if you want a productive body behind that glass, I think trust is very vital. I have never seen a staff, and my staff that I've used was a meager 7 to 8 people in my own business. And I found that the happier they are, the more productivity I got out of it. When you get people that like to come to work, they're always more productive. But I as mayor, I have enough work to do, and I certainly don't want to get into the day-to-day business operations on the other side of the glass. It is my own personal opinion, Mr. Henry. But I certainly will support this motion that Councillor Haggett has put forth. Any more questions? Yes, go ahead, Councillor McGill.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'll support the motion as well, although I would like to disagree with the statement there where it says, whereas the majority of ratepayers have returned to their workplaces. I know there's an awful lot of people that are working at least some of the time from home, including my wife some of the time, 2 or 3 of my children. The third one, her job, she has to be at work, and she was at work all through the pandemic. Just the nature of the job. Some jobs you can do from home, some jobs you can't. And but it's good to see a report. But at the same time, I see nothing wrong with people working from home some of the time, like Andrew Neely did tonight.
Yep.
He gave us his report, drainage report. He didn't have to drive in to talk to us for half an hour. To me, that seems like a good use of his time, maybe. And it's hard to get good people, and if you can accommodate them a bit by letting them work from home, as long as they can continue to do their job, at least some of the time work from home, then I see nothing wrong with that.
Well, there will be mutations and variants come out of this pandemic, and who knows, we may be back to work now, but we don't have a crystal ball into the future, and there are some concerns in the pediatric area. A lot of sick children, and if you want a young professional, interested and enthusiastic staff, you will have to make some accommodations. It's a new normal that we're in, and Councillor McGill referenced his children. Mine both work at times remotely from their workplaces as well, and one manages property all over Ontario, facilities manager for Southwestern Ontario, Northern Ontario, and my other works for the EMS services, and he works from home as well as a consultant. But they certainly do provide office duty, and meetings are mandatory to be in person at times. But on occasion, they certainly enjoy the privilege of working from home if they have a sick child or something of that nature, or their location and geography is problematic. Then moved and seconded. Last call for questions. Yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead, please.
Just a comment, when we were campaigning, and I've gone through it myself, the one situation about people working at home, I call the office, and then they said, well, they're working from home. Then I call that number, then I have to leave a message, then I have to stick around for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And so we also have to look at the ratepayers' point of view as well with this. And that's why I'm glad we're going to have a report on this.
It is no question important, but at the same time, we look at economic development. I believe that position is from home almost continually, is it not? And I would also point out that the productivity of that department is absolutely stellar. Okay, if you look at what has been done over the last 4 years, it has been absolutely stellar from an employee of Southwest Middlesex who does very often work from home. Okay, and that's it. Okay, all in favor? Raise your hand, please. Carry. Okay, we'll go on. Okay, second, Deputy Mayor Schuldice, 9B. Thank you for putting the notice motion in. Could you introduce it, please?
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. We've all been able to read the motion. I'd just like to point out that there was significant changes made to the purchasing policy 2 years ago. And I think it would be very beneficial for all of council to be brought up to speed on it and review the policy and to see how it is currently being used.
Okay. All right. Any further questions on that? Mike, would you like to enter into this? I know you had some concerns expressed in my office.
Got to jump in. I said I'd jump
Yeah.
on each one of these. Okay, so therefore it be resolved that council review the Southwest Middlesex procurement policy at the earliest opportunity. You can do that anytime. However, I think we need to change, and I think Mayor Mayhew, you wrote down some of the changes I was discussing today over some of the verbiage in that therefore.
Yeah.
If I look over and just paraphrase it a bit, in all due respect to the deputy mayor, I think it therefore it be resolved that staff provide a report showing pros and cons and reasoning for procurement policy the way it stands right now, and we can have that back by the next meeting. So we'll massage that a bit, Kendra, if we can, just to give a direct order to staff.
And could we also include what the purchasing policy changes were?
Yes, we certainly can. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be good to show what it was and what it is now. Yep, absolutely.
So with those cosmetic changes made, you will agree with that. Kendra, did I see your hand up?
Do you know what year those changes were made?
I believe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I just want to remind council on those changes in 2 points when you received this report. One, we are extremely conservative as a municipality in the amount of the dollar figures that we have allocated for staff administration to proceed with a purchase. We are substantially under by, in some cases, 40 to 70% of what other municipalities have. And secondly, we approve budget where those numbers are there. All right, so it's not like the staff are taking money that council has not endorsed. We have approved budget, and therefore that particular actions are carried out and administrated by staff through the process to completion. And we want to be aware of that. The second thing, the third thing would be efficiency. There's a great efficiencies in having a realistic amount of money available to staff to use. It costs the municipality less. It makes projects go through faster. And again, that element of trust I hope to build between this council and this staff is extremely important, that we trust each other. But I look forward to the report as well. Yes, Councillor Schulweis.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Just to follow up on your comment, you had mentioned that it was if it's approved in the budget. And I just recall that on Friday, there was a discussion that if the McMurtry drain had come in at 50,000, it could have been done through the purchasing policy. Those kind of statements alarm me.
Yeah. Under emergency aspect was that if we have a broken water line and we have a geyser on Victoria Street, is what we've had in the past, and we need that money to call Aqua in and a heavy equipment and road crew to fix that. Sometimes emergencies happen. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Councillor Vink, please go ahead.
I know this isn't the time for discussion, but you did have a discussion there, Mayor Allen. Just want to remind that the budget is just a blueprint.
That's correct.
And so not everything that's said in the budget meeting is necessarily going to go ahead the following year.
That's true. It's a blueprint for progress, but the dollar amounts are raised. And Kristen, the decision of council on that budget affects the tax rate that we charge our residents. So we have set the parameters of finance in that budget. Kristen, can you add to that at all?
I think that staff put considerable effort into putting projects that they anticipate completing in the upcoming year into the budget. And we've raised the funds through the taxes or grant opportunities for them. So if they're either routine in nature or were specifically outlined in the budget, I think that, you know, to me, that would be council's authorization to proceed with them.
There are mechanics that have been in place throughout our country in every municipality. Any input on that, Mr. Henry?
I hope to add some healing to this. Yes, there are thresholds. Yes, council does approve budget, and those budgets are to be earmarked for the projects along the way. I think what the difference between the two things is staff still needs to go through the process of doing the proper tender and doing all of the good accountability things along the way. And I think what Deputy Mayor Schulweis is getting at here is it's just not, you know, run rampant with to say, okay, well, that person gets that because it's under a certain threshold. And you did well there, Mr. Mayor, to point out that it was during just emergency situations that threshold is that amount. And I did check on that because I was asking a lot of questions during the process of all this. But I don't know all of your thresholds from a standpoint of what point you can do just tenders or what point you can do just quotes or whatever it may be. I may make a recommendation to this council that you do, albeit all municipalities are different and they all have different wants and needs, but it may be good to do a comparison at the same time with some neighboring municipalities that are similar size and have that come back with a report as well, if that would be helpful. Just a recommendation from myself.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting part of the report, and I reiterated that our limits on various costings and departments are conservative that I found, but I would certainly like to envision what our surrounding municipalities have. Yep, go ahead, Councillor Schultes.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Just for Mike's, for the recommendations that he's making. When this came before council 2 years ago, I asked for a monthly report for when it was being used. And I was assured that that would come through, and we've never seen a report since.
Okay, that's a good point.
We'll speak to that.
Yeah.
But I do want to clarify, just for Kendra's sake, what the motion would look like, because I think I convoluted a little
That's
bit
just
as
a
well.
comment. It doesn't.
No, but I mean, I convoluted with the cross-reference to maybe some neighboring municipalities and that kind of thing. So you may want to sort out what your resolution or your.
Yeah, I haven't added that yet without Deputy Schultes. It's okay.
Okay, so the that comparison of the thresholds of other municipalities be added to the motion. Is that-
If Deputy Mayor Schultes
Will you agree with
disagrees.
that, Deputy Mayor Schultes? that we
Yes,
get
how many
comparison?
would you compare?
There's generally a canned comparison of
And
about
could it be our
6 or 7.
neighboring
Oh,
municipalities?
yeah, by all means. And sometimes you even go into Elgin, like you look at.
I think I would recommend of similar size.
Yeah.
So right now you're
Similar
looking
size.
at Luke and North Middlesex for sure.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
and we'll find
And,
somebody, a couple others.
Even the demographic and employment are considered too, like farming, rural farming, rural urban type municipalities. And CAOs have good connections with each other, so those numbers aren't hard to find. Okay, then that emotion has been tweaked a little bit for the benefit of it being more wholesome. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
I don't have a seconder.
Oh, don't you have a second? Okay, I'll call for a second. Councillor Haggett, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jordy. Okay, we got through that. And Councillor Myers, you have a notice of motion regarding the Bob Martin Park and the Cedars along the fence line. You think so, right? Not according to the information I got this afternoon. It's not that easy. Yeah,
Get ready.
yeah.
Well, the cedars on Mill Street, way overgrown. Bob Martin Park, way overgrown. Haven't been looked after for, a couple of years since restructuring.
Yeah.
Right, and I just think that I don't think ratepayers think that it's an eyesore, and we need to get rid of them. And it'll just cut the maintenance in half.
Yeah.
Because they won't have to go back and cut them all down again, like every year or every other year, and it'll cut down on maintenance.
Yeah. Okay, there is a discussion, and I know Mr. Henry wants to add to this as well. My experience in cutting down trees are not as simple as you think. Okay, there are some people who take strong objection to that. Yeah, and have you, Mike, have you done some thinking on this, some inquiries, and I'll let you go ahead.
I cut down one tree once. I planted thousands. Nobody ever told me I planted thousands, but I cut down once, and I hear about it all the time. I don't drive back through Amherstburg very often without being chastised. So that is one. That is a valid comment. So you need to make sure that you want these trees gone. The second piece that I will make note of is this probably could have just come to rec department for a discussion. So if you have a good relationship with staff, you can go to the CAO, you can go to the department head and have that conversation. And that had that been the case, you probably would have been told we don't own this land. So we really can't go cutting the trees down on land we don't own. So
Yeah.
that's what I need to hear because.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I've talked to the president of the Ag Society, and she said that she would approve the recommendation.
Yep. Okay.
And if you need a name, I can give you the name.
Yeah. And I went to that meeting last night at the Agricultural Society, and this was not brought up by the president at all. And like any organization, it should go before their board. I don't think she can arbitrarily make a decision on that. What I'm concerned about, and I know it needs maintenance and it's continued maintenance, and I'm not saying I'm against the motion, but I think we have to take into consideration that when those trees are on the other side of the fence on the road, we own the playground equipment, we do, and we lease the land. We own the equipment and we lease that land. And we have a better association with Fair Board than we've had, I think, in the last 20 years. So we have a very good relationship, and it's getting better and building. Those trees will provide a couple of things. One, it mitigates noise level from the park. Two, it gives some privacy to those children playing. And I have made some inquiries, and both those attributes came up today by ratepayers as well. I'm not sure the quantity of complaints that you have received on that, but I can assure you that if they come down, there will be a large sector that will ask the question why. Okay? Because of the noise mitigation, the sound mitigation, the privacy aspect of it, better air quality, less dust. Those are all attributes that tree lovers, and there's many of them in Southwest Middlesex, and particularly Glencoe. We have a very large tree canopy in Glencoe, and that will come forth. I would also think that before we proceed, I would feel more comfortable if I had not that I distrust Councillor Meyer's conversation with the president, but I was at that meeting last night and not a word was mentioned. I was there from the opening to the closing. I didn't leave. Yeah. Mike, can you give me some help on this?
Yeah, I'm going to try the best. Again, out of all three of the notices, I encourage the conversation with staff. We can eliminate a lot of this, and we can do the back work on it to make sure that we get all these answers before it comes to this point. Had we left from here, then with the resolve of go cut some trees down, we may have been in a bit of a jackpot. So what I would do is I would recommend that the Ag Society be reached out to, get it back in writing that they're okay with this process. In the meantime, I think I would encourage all of council to have some discussion with your residents to make sure they're comfortable with them being removed. Albeit, all due respect to Councillor Myers, he's obviously heard from his constituents in that area. Just make sure that's consistent before you do, because you will hear about this. That's plain and simple.
Yeah, I guess we're here to help you, not discourage you, Council. And I think that Councillor Myers has brought up a very good point. They have looked shabby. They look a little better now, but they were really in shabby shape. And I think it's a report. If your request goes back to staff to bring back a report, and they'll make the necessary contacts with the Ag Society to have it in writing, because before we send our guys in with chainsaws, we have to have it firm, eh? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Haggett.
Yeah, the people I talk to are just, it looks awful, and they want them gone. And I've had people say to me, it's nice to pull up if you're a grandparent like myself and watch your kids play soccer. And as far as cutting them, the road department can use the backhoe and pull cedar trees. Soccer, topsoil, seed them. That's my opinion. I'm just, I have tons of complaints on this.
Yep, I've had two. And those points came from people who live on the extreme west end of the village that drive down that road. And this came to light when half the trees were trimmed and the other half weren't. And because those trees go from Curry right down to the Fairview Apartments almost. And they also go on Curry Street for a length as well. Yeah, go ahead.
I had seniors that live in that apartment come to me and say, get them down.
Yeah.
So I'm just reiterating.
And that's where my complaints came. And I also had people in the surrounding areas that say they like the trees. One individual particularly. Yes, go ahead, Councillor McGill.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I talked to a fellow that lives right across the road from the Bob Martin Park, and he told me he'd rather see the trees left, but they need to be trimmed better. And I would agree with him on that. They probably should be trimmed every year. And then I talked to another lady who is a master gardener. And she thought they should be left too and trimmed every year. She said, anything's got to look better than looking at a chain link fence.
Yeah, it's not that attractive.
So I guess I can't support this notice of motion.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Myers.
that doesn't mean that you can't plant more trees. We can get rid of the old stuff and plant new trees. That's all I got to say about that. Like, come on, like, the trees have been there since, been 22 years. They're dead. So why not get rid of them and put new trees in? That's,
Yes, Councillor Choi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Councillor Myers. So are you suggesting something be added to the budget in regards to removing the trees and planting new ones? I guess what I'm getting at is that it would cost money and time in order to do that. And obviously we're short, there's a long list of things to do and we need to get through them all. So I think maybe obviously having permission, the right way to do it through the Fair Board and having that permission, but also having the resources and money to do that as well would be needed.
Okay, are you suggesting that staff proceed to make the inquiries with the Fair Board? All right, and and to report back to council? All right, would that smooth it down a bit?
I'm fine either way. I just think if you don't own the land and you want to have this done, I think you should get written permission from this and it goes to their board. That means their board is on side.
Yeah.
And if one person is speaking for that board, you'd hate for that to be that one person that said, well, these 10 people didn't agree. And you want to make sure that they're covered off. That's all.
And within the next 3 weeks, we'll be meeting again. So, I can give you contacts on that staff administration rather on that for who you have to speak to. Yep. Okay. All right. It's been moved. It's been seconded. In this discussion, can you help me, Kendra?
Yeah, can I just confirm the motion in whole? So I have that staff reach out to the Agricultural Society to confirm their permission with further removal of the trees on their property by municipal staff. And do you want staff to prepare a report on the confirmation or provide the written letter to council? Or
Yeah, I think both. Yeah, I think both. And Ed, did you want to, in that motion, and to investigate the replanting of trees in that as well? Okay, all right. And that might reduce some of the concerns that other sector of our community has about trees. If you cut a tree down, they tell you to plant another one. So that might appease all of the ratepayers in our community, and it protects you and council as well. Okay, there's been a friendly amendment made on that. Mover and seconder are happy with that. It has been moved and seconded. Need a seconder? Okay, Councillor Haggett. Joel Haggett. When I call you Joel, you're in trouble. Yeah, he's probably the same way. Yeah, Joel, you're in trouble. When I say Christopher, he knows he's in trouble. Okay, any discussion? Yes, Council Deputy Mayor.
just one quick point, Mayor Mayhew. I'd just like to thank Ed for making the motion, and I'm just like to disagree with staff a little bit. We don't need to be talking to a counselor. Doesn't necessarily need to go to staff and discuss this in private. There's nothing wrong with council having this discussion.
No, absolutely not. That was not my intent of the comment. I'm saying some of the bureaucracy could be taken out of it. Is if a counselor approached staff on it, we could bring a report ready for this discussion and cover off all these bases before it becoming, now we're leaving again, going to find somebody that's over there, come back with the letter, come back with permissions. It could have taken one step entirely out of that. So what I'm encouraging is that some of the open dialogue happen so that we can avoid this, because I would have gladly brought a report tonight saying, Councillor Myers came to me So there's a concern with the fence. We went and looked, we agreed, we found out that we don't own the land, but we're gonna do this and this and this, or here's a letter we received. And you've taken all those steps out of this equation. So that's what I'm trying to encourage is the conversation.
It's good.
Business.
Thank you. That's a little better message.
100%. I'm glad to
Yeah.
clarify
Yeah,
anytime.
it's, as I say, it's business efficiency and we make the decisions. Staff are here to assist us in gathering and retaining information and the effect our decisions would make on policy and things of that nature. So they're there to help in any organization. Very often, the decision-making body very often goes out and asks for assistance from their employees on their thoughts and bring recommendations back. I'll call a question. We've dealt with this enough, I think. All in favor? Opposed? To carried. Okay. 10, correspondence and petitions. Is there any? None. 11, unfinished business. Hiring of CAO. Mike, you asked us to slide this in very quickly. We are in a position where this will be discussed, and I think you're looking to review and to inform council on the structure of the hiring committee.
You've made the structure already, your worship. So what I'm looking to do is on September 28th, that council received the report. They selected option 2, that we would form a committee to go out to hire a new CAO for the organization. And that CAO hiring committee would be comprised of the mayor, the deputy mayor, a councillor, which now we can name, and acting CAO and outside CAO. And that would be the 5-person committee that would do the process and CAO selection. So I guess, in summary, I'm looking for that councillor position because all the rest of them like title.
Yep.
And this one, we just need to fill the blank in so we can get going.
Any volunteers for that process? Martin Vink, Ward 3. Okay, we've got that, and that if there's any need to clarify the motion, Kendra, you've got that. Okay. And just out of curiosity, Mr. Henry, when do you foresee this being enacted and moving forward? And I know you can't inform council of who has applied, but have we received applications, and are there potential candidates in there?
We have received many applications, and there are some viable candidates, certainly, no question. And this first part of your question was when?
Yes.
Once you establish tonight, I will reach out to the committee to set time and schedules to meet. And I think likely what I would like to do, and it's up to the committee, and they can certainly say yes or no, but probably prior to next week's, oh, no, next council meeting's too late. Probably next week sometime. We would meet immediately. It closes Friday. So I'd like to get going. As I mentioned before, you're all nice people, but I'm not staying here forever.
Yeah. And I think that's well put. And I would hope that meeting that we have as a committee, the first meeting should be not to go through the candidates, but to really talk to each other of what is required, what we need, what the fit, and then we certainly proceed. But I'll look forward to that and being led by the deputy CAOs. Kristen will certainly be involved in this, and I like that. I'm glad we have 2. And
That's actually not a thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, your worship.
Oh, it's
So
not?
the committee is mayor, deputy mayor, a councillor, acting CAO, and myself, and an outside CAO.
okay, all right, okay. All in favor of the motion? Yes, and yeah. Oh. Okay, all right.
I need a move. I
Okay.
need a mover.
Okay, mover to do that with Councillor Vink being the council rep, seconder. Councillor McCollum, discussion. All in favor? Okay, carried unanimously. And that'll be an interesting job. But yes.
So the committee is Mike Henry, and another CAO. But so how do we arrive at who that other CAO is?
So just at an outside CAO, I have taken the liberty. If council wants to approve it, go through the steps of approving, that's totally up to you. But I decided that it probably was best to go outside the county for one. Two, I didn't want to eliminate anybody as a potential candidate in a single tier situation. So I did approach the Elgin County CAO, and she has agreed to do this if council is okay with that as being one of the alternatives in the selection process.
Okay. I think the demographic of Elgin is very similar to ours. So it was a good choice in that respect. Any further discussion? And is perhaps more objective. Okay, been moved and seconded. Call, yeah, any discussion on that? Okay, we're done. Okay, all right, yeah, I got a zillion papers in front of me here. Okay, correspondence position, we've got that. New business, we dealt with the items from the consent agenda, so we can move on from there. In your agenda package, 13, County Council conference updates. Any announcements from councilors? Yes, Councillor Choi, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a reminder, as it's the Glencoe Night Market this Friday.
Yeah.
5 to 8 p.m. Main Street between McKellar and McRae. A lot of vendors, food trucks, supporting local businesses. I hope to see everybody there.
Good, thank you. And I want to thank council very much for you, those who volunteered to assist with parking. That was kind of you. It'll be on the south end, and Ed, I was a little worried about you because you know, I know you can do the job. There's no problem there, but you might have to assist in putting up those barricades. So no problem, okay. And I'm I drive around a lot, making sure everything gets done. So I understand that our public works department will drop them off. They generally just drop them off at the corner of the food lane there, like the Santa Claus parade. So Ed might have the tough spot of setting up those barricades, okay. And I encourage all volunteers. I understand that they were going to drop off some vests in my office. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm sure they'll be there by Friday. And use your own vest or come in, just walk in my office and grab one, okay? And it might not hurt to have a flashlight with you, just in case, okay? We want you safe as well. And I'll tell you, it's a real experience stopping traffic. I've done it, okay? Jody knows, eh? Yeah. And I think Jody, you're on there too. Didn't you volunteer for time slot, eh? Okay. All right. That's good. Okay. And of course, I'm not in charge of this. The questions should be directed to Councillor Choi. I'm not sure what position she is on in the committee, but I know she's a mover and shaker of this, and we appreciate that very much. Okay. Thank you. Okay. We've got that. Any other announcements? Closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session to discuss. We're going to closed session at 8:38, as per section 239 of the Municipal Act, to consider the following personal matters about an individual, including municipal or local board members. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor McCollum, seconder. Councillor Haggett. Questions? All in favor? Carried. There. Yeah, we'll just wait a second so that Kendra can take us offline, give us privacy. And while she's doing that, I'll hand the gavel.